us. Make no mistake, we have enough love between us to start to reawake. We have enough love between us to change and
Good
understand.
evening, good day, good world. My name is Dr. Gregory Joe Bledsoe, affectionately known as Dr. Joe, and I'm here with my lovely wife in the Gambia. We have been so blessed, and we're really thankful to have the journey that we've had in our life. I'd like to introduce you to my wife, and then I'll let her introduce me. My wife, Naasira Ageela, affectionately known as Mama Naasira. She's a mama because she has three sons, healthy sons, genius sons, because a lot of your development begins with what you eat as a child. And she's done an incredible job. And she's to be applauded on that. She has a BA from New College. She's a library technician. Girl, you got a lot of things going. Anyway, uh, and she is, along with her husband, the co author of the number one nutritional health guide in the world, and also the number two. Um, and since we don't have much time, I'll let her talk about her husband.
Thank you. Yes, I am Mama Nasira, as he had said, and my husband is a wonderful person who has supported me for the last 20 years. And I met him the first time while working in the library. I was a library technician at one of the libraries in Oakland, California. And because he's also a musician, he's written 3 albums and they are in the libraries. And he came by to bring more because a lot of people they enjoyed his music so much they didn't return them. So I purchased a CD because I purchased a cassette from him because I didn't know anything about the music, and I'm one of those girls that liked the music back in the '60s, '70s, and '80s. Not being prejudiced, but that's my time. So I put his music in the glove compartment and I moved on and I was driving, listening to my music as I go to work and school. So another time I had gone in the bank and there he was in the bank and he asked me, did you like the music? And so I lied. I said, yeah, the music was great. He said, oh, wonderful. So I rushed to my car and I pulled that cassette out and I played it and I got a chance to hear the whole thing. So I felt like, okay, I got it. And when something is new, and then I was in my 40s. So I still had a little fly in me. So I was still listening to OJ's and Shaka Khan and all of that. So his music was a little different. Another time we met in the health food store. And at the time when I met him, he was married and so was I. But that third time we connected, we were both single. And he was at the time working on the Oakland Street Peace Festival. And it was his second festival. And it reminds me of here, because that's what he does. He likes to put events together. And because I raised 3 children and I was always doing things for them, well, I got an opportunity to introduce my vegan diet to a lot of people. And so after that, we became together. we started cooking together at his house, and then I would cook in my house. We would have different in previous engagements. We would bring food there, and we just started introducing people to a new way of eating. He also started assisting me with the catering, and over the last 15, 16 years, we have changed so many people's bodies. Some people have had diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, and they've all have made changes and have moved on to a healthier way of life. Sorry.
I just, thank you. Well, I just wanted to interject. When I came on the scene, brothers are looking for a sweet lady, right? Brothers, you know what I'm talking about? And when I saw this lady and she could cook, she had my attention. I started working with her, and I found out she had a lot of people she was preparing food for. And so I started giving the food out, and I made some of your men friend a little upset too. But anyway, uh, it was just too much. So I said, well, let's start a cooking class. You know the old saying, if you teach a person how to fish, they can fish for themselves, right? And so I didn't want her to have to work so hard. We started the classes, and it took up to about a year. But I just want you to know, I bet on the wrong horse. Her fame grew. There were more people screaming and hollering for her food, talking about it tastes good, it's healing them. They were talking about they're no longer in pain and distress, and it just went on and on. So I said, okay, babe, let us do this. Let's quit our jobs. She is a library technician, and I had been an educator teacher for 30 years at the time, and we just decided to write our book. Now, Mama could tell you what happened after that.
Yes. Well, what we did, we called all of our family and friends, and we wanted them to know that we were starting to write the book. And we told them that so that they wouldn't call and ask for any more recipes. And some of them were really upset because they were used to the stew. The stew is really, it's like when you get sick, what do your mother serve you? Soup, whether it's chicken, beef, or vegetables. That's what heals. But with this is not like Campbell soup. I don't know if it's Campbell soup in the UK, but we had plenty of it in America. And it was full of salts and sugars and all the poisons. I can't imagine how that really could have helped us, but it did. I don't think it was as poison as it is today. But in my stew, because I was around a lot of the Nigerians in 1972, 73 in California, I had an opportunity to eat and share their food because I just could not eat a lot of the salts and the greasy foods going to the restaurants, which caused a lot of illnesses. And working in the medical field, I contracted hepatitis B at 19. And that's what really started my journey, to healing. No one could tell me how to do it. I just know that I came up from a home where we did have spices and herbs. And I think that's original for African people to have, know a little bit about oregano, basil, the basic things. And then, of course, in the stores, they have all these laurel seasoning salts. And that wasn't really the best. And they're expensive. It costs a lot. If you go there and buy cinnamon and it says organic, we were paying 25 years. It was costing at least $7 and $8 American dollars, and that was a lot. And only a few of us can afford it. So I had the privilege because I wanted to stay healthy and I didn't want pain to my stomach. I started including all these spices, and this is only a very few of. Sometimes I have up to 30 to 40 different spices. And I just add them all into my stew, with all the different vegetables, what's in season. I like to make not gravy out of flour. I make it out of spices. Have you tried that? If you saute those spices and then the seeds with the coriander, the fennel, the caraway seeds, and I didn't really know all the medicinal properties, but I learned that as I continued to age and grow older, I was healthier than most of my friends by the time I was 40 years old. So they started trusting me because why? They wanted to see 50 years looking healthy.
Thank you. Well, when my wife and I decided to write the book, you know how ego comes into it? And I thought I was smart. So I said, well, it'll take us a couple of months and we'll have our book written. It took us 27 months, no TV and no doorbell. We ended up not with one book, but with three. When we started doing our research, we found out that there was such an astounding difference between people of color and Europeans. Um, your bones are 10 times stronger or denser than a European. That means your body's going to be different. Your hemoglobin level is going to be different. Your white cell count is going to be different. You do have more veins with and blood vessels. Uh, and it with your melanin, you're able to get those nerves and send those signals to your brain quick, fast, and in a hurry. It allows you to run faster and jump higher if it's not clogged up by the wrong food that you eat. We found out that Europeans have more worms and parasites to help them digest their food. So there's certain food they can digest, we should not be. We also found that because of our melanin in our iris, your eyes, you see better. In your ears, you hear the sound within the sound. You smell better. Okay? And our taste buds are more developed. That's why we eat good food with seasoning. And that is another reason why those that may not love us so much figured out there are three things that get you: sugar, salt, and grease. And as a result, they put it in all the junk food. Okay? Um, we also found out that because of the differences, we being people of color, we should have more of what they call an alkaline diet. Alkaline as opposed to an acid. So you can imagine what that is. Those are your green leafy vegetables, your fruits, um, good water. Okay. And we also found out the other part of that is the mental, emotional part. You have to think positive so you can feel good. You can eat all the good food you want, but if your mind is not in the right place, it's a problem because it's actually your mind that changes your body. Your thoughts create your body. And you turn it back around because the food you eat affects the way you think. You do not see with your eyes, you see with your mind. You do not hear with your ears. Really, you hear with your mind. And it's the same thing. If you are eating food that supports you, it's cool in the game. But if you're eating food that's not supporting you, you can imagine what it's doing with your mind and what you're creating as a result of that. So, what we wanted to do was finish up that one book. It's called Spicy, Tasty Vegan Cuisine. We had subtitles. And this was an informative guide for the melanated. And the other book we had was a book for the general public. And that was an informative health guide to living. And the third one was what my wife has. That's the Kitchen Companion. So we kept the academic stuff and transitional, how you make your transition. We had information on there on fibroid tumors, prostate, the type of water, cookware, kitchen safety tips. We talked about the white things that the white sugar, the white salt, the white flour, the white bread, and I can't say some white people. It wouldn't be right. Uh, but what we did find that if you're eating things that are white, it's bleached, and your body does not do well with bleach. Okay, the salt, it comes out of a salt mine. They use these hydraulic hose to get them out. But with the heat from the hose itself, it kills off the essential elements in there, the things that you need to help your body grow. And so, what they have done in America with their regular table salt, they put in chemicals in there so that it will pour better. Pour better. Can you imagine that? You're killing yourself eating something because it pours better. And we also found that in terms of alkalinity, one should, think about something before they put in their mouth. Is this something that's going to help you to grow? Is this something that's going to help you to heal? And my mother told me a long time ago, she said, eat, eat, eat to live? No. Live to eat? You better decide which one is going to help you live longer.
Yes, I just passed around my books, and I wanted to look at it. It's been 3 years since we've written the books, so every once in a while, it's kind of good to look at it and remind me of some of the things that got me started. As I mentioned, the spice and herbs. But there's one section in my book where I talk about my approach. And my approach was something I started again when I was 19. And I told myself, if I'm going to work and stay away from home, go to school for 12 hours, and I cannot eat in any of the restaurants or eat anyone's food without feeling ill, I needed to take one day out of the week. And that was Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock, because I'm a very systematic person. Because that's the way you can finish your education or anything you like to do. You have to set up a system. And from the age of 17, working away from home, and not leaving home without eating anything or even bringing anything like a fruit, that was unheard of. I would eat in the cafeteria and eat those sausage and all those white bread and all of that. But I had to change it to adding the fruits. The first time I had started eating fruits after the hepatitis B, I couldn't eat an apple, orange, or anything. I had so much pain. In fact, you know what helped me? Eating peanut butter on white bread. It was a shame, but it sustained my stomach at the time. But as I said, back to that Sunday, 5 o'clock, I would start. I had a walk. You know what the walk is, where you can just stir fry your vegetables. So I got the walk, and I started just cooking some greens back in the day. You know what about those collard greens and those mustard greens, the way my mother prepared them. I started with that, adding the onions and the celery. I said no more ham hocks, all that, that fat back stuff. I took all that out. I started, instead of eating that jiffy cornbread, in the box, I started making it homemade. Even though I added eggs to it, it was better than what kind of eggs they had processed in those boxes. And then from there, if I have a little fish, I didn't fry it, I baked it. What we do, when it comes to transitioning is a chapter that we have in our book. You just take it one step at a time. I mean, if someone come to me right now and say, "Oh, how can I look like, this or you?" I said, "Well, if you start now, eliminating one thing, and you will see a change, and you can continue with that change."
Now, I'd just like to point out that my wife's approach for the week is very important. There have been a lot of vegetarians and a lot of vegans that are no longer vegetarians or vegans because they didn't have an approach that could sustain them. But what my wife did, she took the idea of her great aunts and her grandmother, where they would take one day a week and they cooked the majority of their food. And then during the week, they would add to it and respice it so it would last most of the week and they didn't have to spend so much time in the kitchen. Um, Not only that, I'll tell you, if you don't have to stay on your feet a whole lot of times, you got other things to do other than being in the kitchen, then you don't mind being in the kitchen when you do.
And also, I want to let everyone know that yeah, I'm sure you've read your the flyers and all the information regarding the first International Vegan Festival. Well, this is actually legendary because so many people have they have been vegans before, and I'm looking at them. They're in their 40s and 50s, and I said, "Wait a minute! It's really important for you to be a vegan today. Not when you were 25 and 30." Because it didn't matter as much. But it's because when you become ill, as I did at 19, you have to make the change and you have to continue to change. For instance, when I became a vegan, I was concerned about my blood count and all of that because I wasn't going to the doctor. So I did go to the doctor and got a blood test. And they gave me my hemoglobin and all that count. And I looked at where it was, and then the next year I gone back, and I did the same thing. Well, the first time I think my hemoglobin was low. So I talked to a friend of mine who was a nurse, and I didn't want to go back to chicken or fish. Instead, I started eating seaweed, and she said to eat a lot of it. So I would buy the dose seaweed and make different bean patties with that. I would take what is it, the hajeki seaweed. I add it in bread. Where you're getting, the amino acids, not necessarily protein, because that's only one of the amino. I think it's about 30 something amino acids, but they've narrowed it down to one, which is protein, and that's not going to sustain our body. And then I also started buying those wraps, the sheets. And that way I could take my sweet potatoes in there and I could add little beans, all of your different vegetables. And if you eat 3 or 4 of those, you are quite full. Not for just 2 or 3 hours, for at least 6 to 7 hours. And that's how I sustain myself while working. Mushrooms is another source, of, giving you that meat filler. And that's what we're doing now. And my chefs, some of them are in here. When I saw them a year ago, they don't look the same as they did a year ago.
Well, I'd like to talk about some specific things. Here in the Gambia, I used to watch a lot of men sit around and they had these little tiny whiskey glasses. And they, turn it up and I was, what's that? And somebody called it, it's a tire. A tire? And, coming from America, I'm thinking of cars and wheels and stuff. And then I got it straightened out, okay? And then I said, wait, what's in it? Sugar. Lots of sugar. And tea. Not just any tea, but tea from China in a box. Well, I found out that the sugar, if you were to stop eating or drinking the tea, you get a headache. That's a sign that you're addicted. So you have to break the addiction. There are 2 things I have discovered. If you take, how many of you are familiar with the moringa seed? Never die, moringa? Well, if you take the pod or seed out and you chew it, 1, if you do 2, oh my, but 1 is good. And then drink your attire without the sugar. It will be sweet and effervescent. Try it. The other thing is your local honey. In America, my wife and I did not eat the honey because our air is so polluted, the bees are sick. And I am not going to get no honey from no sick bees, okay? But in the Gambia, I'm telling you, Gambia. In the Gambia, your bees are happy. And they have good honey. But I found out that somebody told a big one. We talking about a big one. In America, we're used to it because they told us there was a Santa Claus. They told us that an Easter egg bunny laid chocolate eggs. So when I heard that they tell the Gambians that if a woman has a baby, she shouldn't give that baby honey or water for the first 6 months. Have you heard it? Huh? Oh, it ain't true. Number 1, our bodies are made mostly of water, right? So we need to take water to flush us out, to clean us out, so we can think better. If you don't drink enough water, your brain is going to shrink, okay? The other thing, honey has a lot of nutrients in it and enzymes that help to boost the baby's immune system. So once again, I wonder who put it out there and what are the reasons. Now, the other thing is, since the Gambia has the richest soil in the world along the Gambian River, you have the most nutritive vegetables, plants, including your teas. So if you have the best teas on the planet coming from the best soil, why don't you use your mint? Why don't you use those other teas instead of buying something in a box coming from China? Now, the other thing, and I'll give it to my wife because I'm talking about specific things here in the Gambia. The other is your cooking oil. Uh-oh, somebody got real quiet. In America, they have very good advertising. I don't know if they have the best in the world, but they sure had us bamboozled. They came out with vegetable oil. And I thought, vegetable, that's got to be healthy. I mean, vegetable? Oh, my. Well, it turns out that was like that one about the honey and the 6 months and Santa Claus and the Easter egg bunny. Wasn't true. Anytime you take vegetable oils, and we're talking about your soy, your corn, your safflower, your sunflower, your canola, or it used to be called rapeseed, rape, but they figured that didn't go on with a name like rape. So they changed it to canola. Okay? Anytime you take any of those oils, they have fat in them. Vegetables, they come from vegetables, right? Well, just with the process alone, it heats up the fat in there to where it becomes spoiled or rancid. And when it becomes spoiled or rancid, you have a problem. Now, you don't smell it because if it comes in a bottle, they've already put in chemical deodorizers. Okay? So when you do consume it, you're going to end up with more inflammation, pus, and mucus in your body. Okay? Now, what we have found as a cure, because everything has a remedy, what we found that what you do is take your coconut oil. Coconut oil is best for people of color. 60% of the world's population, coconut, and they have it in their diet. Over half of their calories are coconut, and they live longer than anyone else, and they're the healthiest people in the world. So, do we have coconuts in the Gambia? I know you do. I've gone down the traffic light, and we get it all the time. So what I suggest is you increase your coconut, whether it's coconut water, whether it's the hard shell, whether you use your coconut in making your coconut milk, consume more coconut. For those of you that are ambitious, you get your presser and you squeeze the oil out and cook with this, and it is the best. Why? Because you can cook with it at high temperatures and low temperatures. And it's good for people that they classify as diabetic. Now, you notice I said classify. Because when you consume the coconut oil, it goes straight to your liver, which means it's not stored in the body as fat. And it burns it up faster, which means your immune system is heated up. So it's faster. People that get sick, a lot of them, it's because their immune system is slowed down. So get more coconut in there. Okay? I could go on and on and on. But if you just get those two alone, they'll take you to the promised land. And one more thing, and please don't stop loving me. It has to do with meat. I drop my head and let's take a moment of silence. Meat shouldn't do it. Our teeth are not made for meat. Our digestive system is not made for meat. And 5,000 years ago, we didn't eat animals. They were part of our family, and we communicated with them, albeit telepathically or emotional tele. But we were able to communicate. Family. And I ask you the question, would you communicate with me if you know I ate your brother, your cousin, and now I want to eat your uncle? And the other side note to that is that the advertising companies, they told us that you need protein. Protein.
If you're exercising and your body is healing, especially with that sciatica, you start taking your turmeric in your teas or water at night. And also I include the sulfur, MSM. I may add like the cayenne pepper. I add sometimes neem, moringa. I think for 3 months during my yoga experience, I drank those things and I ended up having diarrhea. So it told me I had enough. You know, really, your body will tell you you have to stop. So now I do what I do. I just tell people, and I can only do it maybe 2 or 3 times out of the month because I believe I've gotten rid of a lot of the inflammation that has been poisoned, by immunization shots. I used to get allergy shots and then eating all the processed food. I mean, we have a long ways to go. So I just want to encourage everyone to love yourself, be kind to yourself, and know that just to sit here and listen to us, it may be a little boring, but there is something I'm sure that can help you on your journey of healing and wellness.
Usually I let mama have the last word. What can I say? Uh, but it is important, as she said, diet change. In America, lifestyle. We don't want die, lifestyle. Thank you, baby. But in America, a lot of us are hooked on junk food. And with that junk food, it's sprayed. They have chemicals in there like atrazine. And atrazine is a hormonal disruptor. So if you are eating that food, it's going to cause problems. In America, it's almost commonplace for a woman to have a baby and to have both sexes. That means a penis and a vagina. And usually what they do is they cut off the penis, right? And the skin of that, since it's concentrated melanin, they use it for high end, in other words, very expensive cosmetics. And what happens is in America, we have a lot of boys looking like boys, but inside they're female. We have females are looking, but inside they're male. But like everything, it has a solution. In 2 generations, we can clean it all up. But what I want to say is we have to love and embrace our people where they are. And just know that we're all one people. We're all one people. And it's all about one love. And with that one love idea and theme, we're going to end this because we have a man coming that personifies love and unity. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, were there any questions?
I have one.
Uh-oh,
And it
one
might be a
question.
dumb question.
There are no dumb questions.
Exactly. I'm gonna ask it anyway. When you said no meat,
Yes, sir.
Are you kind of like encompassing fish?
Yes, they're part of our family.
So no fish either.
Well, if it has a face and you can kiss it, don't eat it.
Not for me.
Because again, transitioning, it's
Yeah, don't beat yourself up. Take it one step at a time. Because you're looking at some people that used to eat chitlins, hog head cheese. I mean, the list goes, oh, have mercy. The list goes on.
Some of us learn it in school that eating some of these bones, they contain calcium, and then calcium is good for our teeth and then bones building. So somebody might be wondering, like, if you stay away from eating this flesh that is these bones, so where will you get this calcium from that will build up your body?
Calcium, you get it from your green leafy vegetables, and you have a lot of them here.
also the beans, the nuts, the baobab. I mean, it's the moringa, walnuts, and pumpkin seeds are excellent, especially for men. How many of you are aware of that Viagra? That medication for men?
Pumpkin seed
Pumpkin
extracts.
seeds has all of that and more. Watermelon seeds, and if you have your appliances like your blenders, your food processors, what else we use? We use woks and I mean, there's so many things. Juicers, yeah, and now some of us use dehydrators. And once you have those appliances, if you invest maybe just $1,000 in all of that, your whole diet has changed. And if you don't want to do it, hire somebody or ask somebody to assist you.
Yeah, growing the trees, as this young man is doing, it's environmentally friendly because it helps us keep the soil intact. And I would like to see a program here in the Gambia where we grow more coconut trees because it is healthy for us as people of color. And I did have one last question, and that was yours, young lady.
I wanted to just clarify what you said about the hemoglobin and the iron and things like that. The kelp, you said.
Kelp is good. Seaweed, all of that is the
The
same.
Irish moss that we drink.
Irish,
Yes.
Irish moss. So contains all the nutrients you need.
and we should have that in our diet daily. And that's why I said through having everybody should have a blender, if anything.
With flaxseed.
Flaxseed is excellent. It prevents
I don't
cancer.
see it here.
No, that's the unfortunate thing is, like, I know myself and there's another lady in here. She was talking about a health food store,
Yes.
which she already sells a lot of her products. And it's a lot. It's very expensive that, the way we have to bring those things in.
Yes.
So maybe in time we can have them, if we have to start owning our own ships and planes and start bringing it in. Because when we bring these things in, the flax seeds, the chia seeds, I'm not only charged from buying it from the sellers, but to fly it in here. I'm look $600 American dollars. Those are from the UK. You guys are fortunate.
Okay, well, we're going to have to wrap this up because we have so many more things to talk about. We just want to thank all of you for coming out. And like I said before, when you have information, please share it.
We have enough love between us for peace upon the land. We have enough love between us.